The tension in the Senate hearing room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Senator Tommy Tuberville sat behind the mahogany desk, his Alabama drawl ready to deliver what he thought would be a knockout punch. Across from him, Representative Jasmine Crockett from Texas waited calmly, her hands folded, eyes steady. What happened in the next 30 seconds would leave Tuberville speechless and change everything anyone thought they knew about military expertise in Congress. Tuberville had just finished questioning the defense budget allocations, his voice carrying that familiar tone of someone who believed his football coaching background gave him automatic authority on military strategy. "Now, I've got some real concerns about these defense spending proposals," he began, leaning forward with a smirk. "And I'm wondering if some folks in this room actually understand what our military needs." His eyes locked on Crockett. The room held its breath. "Representative Crockett," Tuberville continued, his voice dripping with condescension, "with all due respect, what exactly qualifies you to speak on military matters? I mean, what's your experience with our armed forces?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Camera phones discreetly rose around the gallery. Congressional staff members looked up from their notes. This was about to become a moment. Before we dive into what happened next, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of these incredible political showdowns. Trust me, you're going to want to see how this unfolds. To understand the magnitude of what was about to happen, you need to know exactly who these two people are and why this confrontation mattered so much. Tommy Tuberville, the 69-year-old senator from Alabama, had built his reputation on two things: coaching college football for 4 decades and his unwavering support for military spending. After coaching teams like Auburn and Texas Tech, Tuberville rode into the Senate in 2020 on a wave of conservative support, positioning himself as the voice of traditional American values. His supporters loved his no-nonsense approach and his frequent references to his coaching days when discussing leadership and strategy. But Tuberville had a pattern. Time and again, he'd use his platform to question whether younger politicians, especially women and people of color, had the experience to weigh in on serious matters. He'd done it with climate policy, economic issues, and now military affairs. His base ate it up every time, viewing it as a seasoned veteran putting young upstarts in their place. On the other side sat Jasmine Crockett, the 43-year-old representative from Texas, who had quickly become one of the most respected voices on defense issues since arriving in Congress. A former civil rights attorney with a sharp legal mind, Crockett had earned a reputation for her thorough preparation and ability to dismantle weak arguments with surgical precision. Her constituents in Dallas knew her as someone who never backed down from a fight, especially when defending the interests of military families. But what made this moment so significant wasn't just about these two individuals. This was about a larger pattern playing out across American politics. Older white male politicians consistently questioning the qualifications of younger women of color, particularly on issues traditionally seen as male domains like military policy. The stakes couldn't have been higher. The defense budget under discussion involved billions of dollars in spending that would directly impact military families, veterans' benefits, and national security. Tuberville's question wasn't just personal, it was an attempt to undermine Crockett's credibility on one of the most important issues facing the country. What Tuberville didn't know was that he had just walked into a trap of his own making. Crockett had been waiting for this moment, not because she wanted confrontation, but because she knew the truth about military service would eventually need to come out. And when it did, it would reshape how people viewed expertise and authority in the halls of Congress. The hearing room buzzed with anticipation. Staff members on both sides of the aisle leaned forward. C-SPAN cameras captured every angle. Social media managers prepared their phones. Everyone sensed that something significant was about to happen. Tuberville wasn't done with his opening salvo. He had tasted what he thought was blood in the water. And like many politicians who mistake silence for weakness, he decided to press his advantage. "You see, folks," Tuberville continued, turning slightly toward the gallery as if performing for an audience, "this is exactly what I'm talking about. We've got people making decisions about our brave men and women in uniform, and I'm not sure they understand what military life is really about." The condescension in his voice was unmistakable. Several Democratic members of the committee shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The Republican side nodded approvingly. This was classic Tuberville, questioning credentials while positioning himself as the adult in the room. Crockett remained perfectly still, her expression unreadable. Years of courtroom experience had taught her the value of patience, of letting opponents overplay their hands before striking back. Now, I spent 40 years coaching young men, Tuberville pressed on, his Alabama accent thickening with confidence. I know what discipline looks like. I know what sacrifice means. I've prepared thousands of young people for the battles they'd face in life. That's real leadership experience. He paused for effect, clearly enjoying what he perceived as his dominance of the moment. But I'm curious, Representative Crockett. What battles have you fought? What uniform have you worn? What military families have you counseled? The questions came rapid fire, each one designed to highlight what Tuberville assumed was Crockett's lack of military connection. Around the room, Republicans smirked,